Hello, Uganda. Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Hotseat on 933 KFM. I welcome you, our listeners across this beautiful land, the Pearl of Africa. My name is Patrick Kamara. Tonight, we're going to delve into something very important, something of concern in Uganda. We shall be delving into sexual and reproductive health rights, but specifically gender-based violence, because gender-based violence is a monster that is living within our homes. And most women and girls have suffered from gender-based violence, especially getting, beaten and battered by the very people who should have loved them, who should have cared for them, and should be able to, provide for them. In fact, people who have vowed to do those things, to love, to care, and to provide, they turn out to be beasts, and they beat up girls and women. So my guest this evening, I have a gentleman and ladies who understand this problem so well, and probably they'll be trying to take us through on how we can avoid this, on how we can have better families and avoid GBV or gender-based violence. Let me introduce them. I have a legal officer on gender-based violence, to understand gender-based violence, a Dr. Christine. Thank you so much for joining us, Christine.
Thank you so much, Patrick.
From Ukomamboga Health Center 3, I have a counselor, Otuke Francis. Thank you so much for joining us, Otuke.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Patrick Kamara.
And from the Kampala Metropolitan Police North, I have a gender officer, regional gender officer, SP Awuma Lucy. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, our host.
Let me begin with you, Christine. How serious is the issue of gender-based violence in Uganda? And we're going to look into the area where you're operating. And probably what causes it?
Wow, thank you so much, Patrick. Gender-based violence, just like you have said, it's a monster. This is a global issue. It's not only in Uganda, it's all over. And where we are working and where I sit in Boise, this is a real issue. One, the things that are causing this gender-based violence. One is, let us understand what gender-based violence is. This is violence that happens because you are who you are. You are a woman, you are a man. Okay? Mm-hmm. And these are based on our social constructs. This community, the society where we are coming from dictates the roles that each person needs to play. Each woman or each man plays. So with these roles, there are very high expectations. These expectations are the ones where, if faulted, cause a lot of conflict, anger, anxiety, and a lot of stress among those who are expecting and those who have failed to meet those expectations. And therefore, you find in a home a man who fails to fulfill their responsibilities will experience a form of violence. A woman who fails to fulfill her responsibilities will experience the form of violence. When our mothers are bringing us up, what do they tell us? Girls, don't sit this way. Sit this way, okay? Girls must be able to do what? To sit at home. So your mobility is restricted. You're not supposed to move. And therefore, if you find yourself moving as a girl who loves touring, you are a bad girl, okay? You tour, you're a bad girl. Because you cannot sit at home. You cannot you're not stable, So any sane woman, according to our cultures, wherever it is, must be able to sit down.
I'm told in some societies, in the Arab world, in Afghan, sometimes Islamic, with all respect,
yes,
you cannot, a woman or a girl may not move out of home without a male accompaniment. Who's a relative, a brother, an uncle, or a dad.
Exactly.
It's not allowed.
Exactly. So here in Uganda, it's not to that extreme, of course, but then we see that these expectations in our homes are actually fueling conflict.
Okay, let me come to you, Francis, because you are a counselor at the Health Center 3 in Komamboga, to be exact, and I'm sure you're dealing with the issues of gender-based violence, men and women, I suppose mainly women, coming to you because they've been battered. In what kind of state are people coming to you? What do you do when they come to you? Because in most cases, they have been violated by the very people who should love and protect them?
Oh, sure. Thank you so much, Kamara. The truth is, when these people come, we first screen them. Some people don't speak. They don't expose that they are already being violated. So when we receive all clients, we screen them. And when you screen them, you find out that this one needs this kind of assistance. Those that when we define GBV, or gender-based violence, it's in 3 or 4 forms. You mainly talking of physical. There are those that are sexually violated, and there are those that are emotionally violated. So here, when we talk of physical, we treat what we're seeing, and also we counsel them and fulfill the other part. Those that are sexually violated, we offer them the prophylaxis, that is the post-exposure prophylaxis. That is PEP for those that are sexually...
But some of them are violated against by the very people, probably their husbands, their boyfriends. So you wouldn't be expecting them to have contracted it. If they did, then they have been having it, because in most cases, I suppose, violence is coming from home.
Yeah, in most cases, there are people near you, because an apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But we give PEP to those that are negative, to prevent someone from acquiring.
This is in a case of rape or defilement.
Rape or defilement within 72 hours, and then we refer them for legal. Those that need legal attention, and also for those that have a threat at home, we refer them to Action Aid for shelter, while we organize for them for their resettlement.
SP Auma, your desk must be very busy receiving some of these cases as a police officer, looking at a gender officer in Kampala, in Komamboga, in Bwaisa, and everywhere. It must be quite busy on your desk receiving these complaints, isn't it?
You're very right.
Tell me your experience.
Violence exists, and indeed violence disabilities us. Even you, I doubt when you are at home. Currently, as I talk...
It can take a moment of madness, Each one of us can be a moment of madness.
Currently, as I talk, as we move outside, almost each and everyone is complaining of violence from the community. The man is complaining, my woman has become so violent. The women are also complaining, the man has also become violent at home. And worse still, even the children whom we are raising up, they are also becoming violent because they are imitating from us. What are we doing? We are trying to sensitize them so that we prevent, but still we have not reached our expectation. Children have become so violent, the parents are violent. What is the way forward?
We are living in a times of economic hardships, and sometimes even men are unable to provide. And also they get stressed. And you're in Kampala where there's no garden, there's nothing, and yet they expect you to provide. Is it the issue of economics that maybe is pushing, especially men, to get violent because they find themselves they cannot provide, but yet society, and you have a role to play, and that could be the issue. Money, poverty.
Yeah, possibly it could also be money. But still, even if there is no money, does it mean you should become violent to your family? It is just a matter of sitting down. You put your family down. We have A, B, C, D. What do we do so that we get a better tomorrow? Not by becoming violent to your family.
So let me come back to you, Christine, because it appears this is rooted in our male, chauvinistic, patriarchal nature. Yeah. If it is a patriarchal nature of man to be dominant, to behave the way they are, how do you burrow into that and dismantle it from within? Because it looks like, with all respect, that GBV is also rooted in some kind of culture, yes. Isn't it?
Exactly, and that's what I started by talking about. When I talked about gender, I told you about the social constructs, and our society is patriarchal. Of course, with this patriarchal society, we realize that because the male are dominant, and the women are expected to be submissive to their husbands or to the males in the community, just like I told you, the expectations. So where a woman is trying to show that she's actually independent, that will be a cause for violence against her.
Isn't it a very hard job for you to try to fight against culture, sensitize against culture? If that submissiveness that's expected from a woman, and Christine is going to the village in Boise, telling them, by the way, you don't have to. Isn't that a huge task for you?
We are actually not telling anyone that they don't have to be respectful, simply because it is mutual. Respect is very mutual. It's between parties that you should be able to respect one another. So when we talk about culture, this is not something that happens in a day. Of course, customs and cultures did not happen also in one day. That means that it's a process, and GBV is with us, and it's going to take us some time in order for us to dismantle what we're talking about. Dismantling that will take us time, and that's why we say we work with the health, with the police and all other stakeholders to create awareness, build capacity over our girls, build capacity also over our boys. So if our boys are able to understand respect, understand that these roles and these cultures that we are seeing today, we are only made, and that we can be able to create the culture that is much more respectful and much more accommodative of each of us, and that we can be able to live much peacefully with each other without stating that it is economic or it is this, because we have already established that it's actually a mindset.
Okay. Francis, as a counselor, I could imagine, I've not done a research, but what I have seen that seems to be a pattern, if you find 10 women who are mothers today, perhaps 7 or 8 are single mothers. It appears the Ugandan man is running away from his responsibility. Isn't that an issue? Because if you're a single mother, and in most cases maybe of 1 or 2, maybe from different fathers, isn't that a combination for disaster? Why is it that men seems to be running away from their responsibilities nowadays?
Why are men running away from their responsibilities? Actually, it's a two-way traffic. You can't say men are running away from them alone. There must be a driving factor. And that driving factor in counseling with us, we talk to that person, understand the problem, let the person know that there is a problem. First of all, once you realize there is a problem, then it's halfway solved.
Okay.
When you believe,
but are you able to know why? Okay, I have not done a research. I cannot say with statistical data, but what I have seen, maybe you could agree that there are so many single mothers today, and maybe out of 10, you may face 7 have children, but the men are not in the picture. So we have Lucy, we have bitter women raising perhaps bitter boys. What kind of society are we going to have in future? And sometimes I'm told, women, you talked about mental, sometimes torture, and women, there's somebody who told me, a woman told her husband that you're there even trying to think you're a man, but actually even you don't even perform very well your conjugal rights. After all, you're so weak. Things like those can drive a man crazy.
That's already
you know that. Because a woman is telling a man that, by the way, don't think you are a man enough. Even what you do, conjugal rights, you're very weak.
That already affects.
That's a torture. That will bring violence, won't it?
It's already violence.
Actually, when we talk of violence, we don't mean on. That's why I was saying we don't only focus on the physical and sexual. The emotional violence is more dangerous than not physical, because you don't see someone that has emotionally or psychologically being tortured. We need to talk to someone. Sometimes men, the reason why most women are single, because women talk.
Okay. So gentlemen and ladies, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be specifically looking into how you're responding to gender-based violence, the issue of the GBV shelter in Boise, how Boise is responding. KFM. Welcome back to 933 KFM, and this is the Hot Seat. My name is Patrick Amar. My guest this evening, I have Adokorach Christine, legal officer at the Boise Gender-Based Violence Shelter. Otukei Francis, Councillor, Komamboga Health Center 3, and SP Auma Lucy, Regional Gender Officer, Kampala Metropolitan Police North. Christine, take us through the work that you're doing in Boise, and really how this shelter works, and exactly how do you transform the person who has come to the shelter, but also how do you intend to transform where she has come from, the home where she's coming from?
Thank you so much, Patrick. The shelter, and maybe what to let you know before I delve into that, ActionAid has several shelters all over the country.
Okay.
Over about 10 shelters in different parts of this country, and the YSA GBV shelter is one of them. And our work around GBV has actually spanned over 20 years. And what we do, the objectives of our work is to increase awareness about GBV, about its prevalence, but also how communities can be able to prevent it, but also inform communities on how they can access services that can better improve their well-being. In the event that they experienced this kind of violence, what do they need to do? So at times, communities need to get empowered in order for them to resolve some of these issues. Some of these GBV issues are criminal in nature, and some of them are civil in nature. And therefore, you'll find that the criminal aspect of the GBV, we work with the police, and we work with the health personnel in order to ensure that we have this matter reported, investigated, and that the survivor gets the medical assistance that they need, but also the forensic evidence is collected, and that it is used, we are able to use it in court for this person to be able to get justice.
Okay. I want you to stop there, because when you talk about forensic, then you're talking about police.
Yes.
And I am told, especially because women and girls, especially in the case of rape and defilement, you know, feeling that, is it Form 3?
Yes. Yeah, police Form 3.
Police Form 3?
Yes.
The questions they're asked, sometimes even the courts, women and girls are reluctant to express themselves because of how the court cases are handled. Because when you're asking them these questions, they are going through the same trauma again. How were you raped? Where were you? How did somebody start? How did it go? You know how lawyers can ask questions even in court. Is there a way how these cases can be handled without a woman or girl relieving that trauma?
Thank you so much.
You know what I mean, right?
Patrick, I understand whatever you're saying. And it's really tricky. First of all, you know what our law says.
Yes.
You are innocent until proven guilty. And therefore, when we are working on those cases, we try with all our level best to ensure that we also protect our victim. There are those one who are not able to talk in the public. So the magistrate, they talk to them in their chambers.
Okay.
So that they are able to express themselves.
So they don't have to be in an open court to tell everybody. Everybody's listening.
Yeah, exactly. But
then getting the sample for the forensic analysis, in the case of rape, it's very difficult, I suppose, because you're looking for traces of a man who has passed somewhere. And yes, but Francis, is it hard to deal with?
No, actually, now we have, for rape case, we have a rape pack. So we have a pack that is used for getting the samples. We call it a swab pack. Medical doctors know how to do it.
So the victim gets the sample herself, or it's a medical doctor getting into it looking for the sample?
When the victim comes to, we call them survivors, GBV survivors.
Okay.
That word, victim, also means
all right.
them. You
see now, the wording is also, I'm sorry about that.
When our survivors come to the facility, we examine them. As a doctor examines, we take other tests. And whatever the doctor or the medical personnel says is what we will be used as evidence. So we work hand in hand with the police.
So what you're telling me, both Lucy and Francis, that you are reducing on the trauma, on the stigma that is surrounding the, dealing with the case, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So when the client comes to the facility, the client is tested, examined, and the doctor fills the medical form, because we advocate for seeking health first before justice. So when someone is raped, we advocate for people running to the facility first to save life, then you can follow on. So when the medical personnel fills that form, it's the same form that will be used by the police surgeon to fill the other form 3. So the first medical personnel who saw the client first will do a lot in fulfillment of that justice.
I know you also want to protect their health, and that's why you put them on, you call them PEP, to avoid the contracting, for example, HIV and AIDS.
Yeah.
But in the case where the survivor has been living with the disease themselves, do we have the science to tell that actually the disease has also been in you?
Yeah, if the client is already on ART or is not on ART, if one tests positive, we also follow up to see if this person is on care. Okay. If this person is in care, then good, the person continues with the care, but we also protect the perpetrator.
Wait a minute. Will you go to protect the perpetrator?
Yeah, our role is to save life. Ours is to save life. So
but will the perpetrator be interested in that, or you have to force them to do that? Or
no, we don't.
They have to be willing.
They have to be willing.
Okay, so let me go back to police again before I can come back to you, Christine, because in handling these cases, I can imagine there would be families that would want to talk about this issue amongst themselves, but yet it is maybe a question of defilement, not even rape. Do you find this often, whereby let's handle it at home instead of handling it at police? How do you deal with that? Because this could be a minor, 17-year-old girl, 30-year-old man, and before you know it, the families want to go and talk about it, and yet that is a crime. How do you deal with that?
Indeed, they always do it. They begin it right from the grassroots, from the LC. But if the victim is already with us, the case has already been reported, there is no way we send them back that, you go and negotiate. Once it has already come, for us, we do our part, and they proceed to court. We don't give them that room of negotiation. What? Because the girl is underage. We cannot allow them that you go back home and you negotiate. We proceed with the justice to prevail.
But in case the man has not been arrested, and if the complainant loses interest, then the case is also...
If the case has already been reported, we have already examined the victim, we have gathered our evidence, Uganda is too small.
You'll get them.
And the case will not rot. We shall keep our file as we trace for the what? For the suspect.
Okay. Yes. So this issue has it is a matter of health, a matter of social justice and all that. But also, Christine, I see a problem of an equal power relation. Yes. Because men in our villages, somehow we have the money sometimes more, the economic means. So what do you do to make sure that unequal power relation is reduced? Because women are falling victim because of an equal power relation.
That is true. With the unequal power relations, when you look at the level of education, already creates that inequality. And the social status, economic status, already creates that imbalance. Already when you're talking about property, who owns the property? Who has the money, who has access to these resources? So create this kind of imbalance. However, when we receive survivors at our shelter, we provide the psychosocial support, we provide them with the counseling, and we kind of take them through a number of empowerment talks, but also we inform them of their rights. And during the course of the time that they are in the shelter, there is a kind of transformation that they get to learn. And before they leave the shelter, there is something that we call a resettlement package. So when this person is being resettled back into the community, the resettlement happens only after we have established that wherever this person is going back is safe.
Okay, hold on to your point, Christine,
Yes.
because we're going to take a break. And when we come back, Francis, Christine, and Lucy, we'll be looking into how does somebody access the shelter, and maybe you can go in detail when they are at the shelter.
Yes.
What exactly do you do? How long do they stay in the shelter? Is the shelter issue even sustainable? Welcome back to 933 KFM, and this is the Hot Seat. My name is Patrick Amara. My guest this evening, I have a Dr. Christine Otkei Francis and SP Auma Lucy. We're talking about gender-based violence and how to deal with it or even stop it. You have a shelter in Boise.
Yes.
How do women get to know about it, survivors of GBV, and when they come to the shelter, what happens? For how long do they stay in the shelter?
Thank you, Kamara, once again. At the shelter, because we work with different stakeholders, we call them the GBV referral pathway actors. These key actors we have are the police and the health, because normally these problems are reported to the police and they're reported to the health workers. So if the person who is at risk will be immediately referred to the GBV shelter. A GBV shelter is not supposed to be known by everybody.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because it is really a place that it should be safe.
You guys have a safe house.
Okay? A place that should be safe for the survivor. So you'll find that because some of them are being followed by these perpetrators, we have high caliber cases. There are cases where this perpetrator is actually a big person, someone who could actually even endanger including ourselves. So that would mean that this shelter has to really be a place that not everyone just can reach there. And that means that the police, we coordinate with the police, we coordinate with the health facilities who refer these cases to us.
But you must be having
also
security at the shelter.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And so we also share our contacts. Like today, we will be able to share our contacts. When something happens to you, you could be able to reach us through our numbers and we can be able to rescue.
Okay. So when they're there, what happens? So what do you take them through?
When they are at the shelter is a temporary accommodation. It doesn't last long, okay? And the shelter, this is a place that it's like
a dormitory.
There are dormitories like where we have girls who are teenagers. Then we have also a dormitory where we have mothers, like women who have children. Like those who have children, we don't mix them. Okay, so it's like we have a transition, a time of a transition. Within this period, when you report the matter and you are insecure, we are providing you psychological support, there's counseling, we are providing you treatment, we are giving you legal advice and all this. At that point, that's when we also are finding out what happened. There's a lot of investigations happening, and also we're asking you exactly what would you want to happen, what is your desire, what exactly do you want, because we are implementing a survivor-centered approach.
Okay.
This survivor may choose, yes, my husband beats me, but I would really want my husband, could you people talk to him? Okay? And that's when we start talking about mediations. So
in this case, do you have to bring the husband at the shelter?
No.
Okay.
So we find ourselves getting also to the community where we are able to do mediations, also talk to the husband. You know, we find a way in which these...
have there been women who have come to the shelter and then you want to mediate with their husbands, but before you know it, 6 months down the road, they're back?
Yeah, we do mediate.
But do they, for them to come back or to have at the shelter again?
Yes, we have cases where we have repeats, okay, where a woman has gone back, we've had a problem, it has been resolved, and then they come back with a different issue. Okay, so you know that violence is it's a curve.
But Francis, it is in most cases you can when you are dealing with the woman at the shelter, those are more or less the symptoms.
Yes.
The problem is at home.
Yeah.
Francis, how do you think they can deal with the issue at home?
At home, we need to talk to each other. We advocate for communication. Mostly what causes most of this violence is lack of communication. Men are so reserved that even if he's tortured, he keeps so quiet. Even when you see the number of clients who come to the facilities, you find there's so many women but men are not there. It doesn't mean they don't fall sick, But just because we are so reserved, and men think they can only handle everything by themselves. So we are trying to say, men, cry out. If you are violated, cry out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are they listening? Do you see a change that men are also coming to seek help, psychosocial and all this kind of thing?
Yeah.
But Kamara, there are also issues to do with ignorance.
Yeah.
What I have learned with the time I've worked at the shelter, there's a lot of ignorance among the community. And you find the kind of violence that men are causing on women, or women are causing on each other, whatever it is, there's a degree of ignorance. And immediately they are informed. You find that they are resolving their issues.
You know, let me come to you, Lucy. In cases of where men and women are living separately, but then maybe they share a child, sometimes women want to use that child as an ATM. You know, you give an insurance card for medical, say it doesn't work because they want actual money. And so men are tortured because of they have a child. Sometimes they run out of their lives because the woman has tried to use the child as a bite to get everything they want, including even more than what is necessary. True. And I'm sure sometimes they come to your desk. How do you handle this when a child is in the mix and the two are not living together?
Thank you. That one is a real situation which is happening. In most cases, we try to call the two parties. We bring them on the round table and we allow them to agree on the best method on how we can take care of this child or of these children. Because their differences, they should not transfer it to the children. Much as they're having their own differences, the children, they have to get all their basic needs. They have to go to school, they have to eat, they have to get their medical facilities in case they are sick. So we bring them on board, we talk to them, and we agree on the best way possible on how we can practice it.
You know, the thing is,
not pressing the other one too much.
Before you, the man will say, me, I earn 200,000 a month. And the woman will say, no, actually, he earns 2 million. And then the woman will say, we're going to share this 200,000. The woman said it is more than that. Isn't that very difficult to know how much is going to be shared? How do you let me also go to the legal person. How do you deal with this?
Yes, the law is very clear. The duty and the responsibility to bring up a child belongs to both parents. And this is one key thing that we are ensuring that our survivors know. Those who come in talking about maintenance of a child, we'd ask the lady. And we establish that if this woman is not empowered, that means this woman needs some sort of empowerment. And we need to inform her that, you know, it's your responsibility as a mother to contribute to the well-being of this child, while it's also your husband's, the father of the child's responsibility to make a contribution. And in this case, we tell them that you do not expect the man to be the one to fend and take all responsibilities for this child, because this child belongs to both of you. Okay, so this is something that is
but you see that can be agreeable. That can be understood, but I can see them, you know, quarreling about how much the contribution is. What, 95 to 5%, 80 to 20. You know, and somebody can say my contribution is the care. You know that care of you know, bathing and washing forever is another one.
Exactly.
And the man may not understand that that's also contribution.
It is, and that's something that we also are able to talk about during our times of mediations with the parties, with the partners. We are able to tell them that, you know, this is something that you should understand. If you were to pay for this kind of services, how much would it cost?
So in case where you don't have a shelter and the women have been having trouble, they have been beaten by their husbands and they've come to police, where do you advise them to go if there's no shelter? Because the shelter seems to be a new phenomenon.
It's not a new phenomenon.
Well, they're not widespread in Uganda.
But it's not a new phenomenon.
You've been having this for 20 years around Kampala, but they are far in between and not everywhere. But the police is everywhere in Uganda. Yes. So ordinarily, what would you do?
Indeed, we don't have shelters, and they always keep on coming. Where we have our partners, we call them, and we give referral to those who are having shelters. In a situation whereby we don't have shelters, we encourage our victims or survivors to go to the nearest relatives and you take shelter there because life is precious.
Okay.
Yes.
How long does somebody take the shelter?
It's on a case-by-case basis, and it depends. Some people stay, depending on how we have handled this matter and how we are the matter is being resolved. They could take a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month.
I'm told there are people at the shelter who have been so much traumatized that they don't want to see anymore anything called a man in their lives.
Exactly, but that would mean that we have not done so much to help them be able to live, to live with other people, and we believe that that would really not be a positive impact if this person cannot actually be able to see a man after coming out from the shelter. The person should be able to come from the shelter after being rehabilitated to an extent that they are able to comfortably live in the community with others. Yes, because the shelter is not a permanent place.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, you'll be telling us the challenges you face in providing services, but also I'll be opening the line so that you too who's listening, this should be a moment for you to have your say. I'll be reading the numbers for you. And at the end of the show, Kristen will be also giving us direction or the numbers or contacts on how you can access the shelter in Boise. Welcome back to 933 KFM, and this is the Hot Seat. My name is Patrick Kamara, and my guest this evening, SP Auma Lucy, Regional Gender Officer at KMP, Otuke Francis, Councillor at Komamboga Health Center 3, and Dr. Kristen, Legal Officer at Boise GBV Shelter. And this is the moment when you can have your say. I'm going to read the numbers to call, and you tell us what you think. Perhaps you could even take an advantage and report the case in case you have one, but or maybe find out information that you need. The numbers to call are 0751 933 900. My producer tells me we already have numbers, and the phone is blinking. I have a call online. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yes. Good evening. This is Wanyaka.
Yes.
I am a social worker.
Okay.
Every day I've been thinking of where I could find a shelter for me live in Uganda.
Okay.
And I'm so glad that I've had this. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And I have, this is where I start, this is my area of concern and the area of study. Now, to talk about the men being tortured by women, women are being empowered these days, and they are having money. They want to run families and they want to be men. They end up torturing men. And now you find that men have stigma. When they go to police to report, you just find that the police men just laugh at them. So it stigmatizes them and they fear to report. And the issue of gender-based violence is two ways. You first look at the causes, because if you look at what has caused, maybe a woman is taking alcohol and is torturing a man.
Yeah, you made your point, Mr. Yonyama. At the end of the show, Kristen will read the numbers so you get to know where to find the shelter in Boise. I have another call online. Hello.
Yes, Mr. Patrick.
Yes, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Thanks for the show.
You're welcome.
You're live and clear in Seta.
In Seta.
This is Ekode.
Ekode, yes. Go right ahead, sir.
Yes. I have two concerns. One, I think I'm not seeing the boy child in this equation here.
The boy child is missing in the equation.
And we are all, yes, and they're all victims. So, when the boys are shelter, not seeing the madam didn't tell us that boys, you also have your own demon. I'm hearing only girls and mothers. Then I don't know if we are also catered for. Two, domestic violence is a broad thing, and it's a very big issue, which I need our party to get them and bring them back, because during COVID, you know how all the children were traumatized. There's a lot of domestic violence. But even men, we are being beaten by women. But to go in public on the media to report that, my wife has beaten me, is another issue. We need to change the mindset to us men so that we be encouraged to be reporting
It's even very hard for Lucy, the SCP Lucy, to listen to your case that you have come with your beard and your bald head, that you have been battered by a woman. Okay. Let me take another call online. Hello.
Hello, good evening, Kamara.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
This is James from Owino Market.
James in Owino?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I wanted to comment about this gender-based violence. Here the biggest problem I see is that in town, it is the men that are tortured more than the women. I think in this shelter, it should consider sheltering men also. Because I've seen situations where men even fear going back home. They are not paid returns after a hard day's work, and the woman denies the man food.
I hear you. I'm told actually that sometimes men go and get into other relationships. They call it Panadol or painkiller. So they go somewhere to get another woman, and that woman is called the painkiller to kill the pain that you're going through at home. I have another call online. Hello.
Patrick, Juma Busega.
Yeah, Ms. Juma in Busega, go right ahead, sir.
I have 3 to put across.
Okay, Juma.
What are the procedures of reporting cases to police? They have to help us.
Okay, they'll let you know. Another one?
Another one, how much is Form 3 in case someone has been assaulted? Countrywide, because there are some stations that are charging different.
The Form 3, okay. I didn't know they're even charging for it. Okay.
The third one, delay at the police unit. Someone has been injured during night hours, reaching at the police station. No one is attending to the police station. And the OC is going to come at 8 a.m. Remember, these casualties deserve to go for medication. Who is responsible? Some people are dying in ambulances on the way towards the hospital.
All right, Juma in Busega, thank you so much. Let me take the last caller online. I have another caller. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Fine, how are you? This is Bukwera Bernard. I'm calling from Kawempe.
Bukwera in Kawempe? Bukwera in Kawempe. Go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, now I want to ask those people, there the first time to know about those things. Mostly I hear their names are from northern people. I'm from northern. And those things are mostly happen in northern Uganda, where gender-based violence is very high. And what is causing those things is poor. We find a man is having nothing in the house, and when you come back from look for food, and find women are very hard on them. And why did they not hold the region to open those kind of business facilities so that it can be helping other people? Because now they're seeing Kampala vices.
It's an issue of economics. I agree with you. I want to thank you so much, my brother from northern Uganda, Apoimatek. So we're going to, let me give you, Christine, to respond to Kay, and we shall conclude with Lucy. Please, we only have 3 minutes. How do you use them, the three of you? Each one of you 1 minute.
Okay. Okwera, we have a number of, we have a shelter in Gulu, and that shelter can be able to receive cases and provide the support in Gulu, and we also have one in Amuru. And then when you're talking about the boy child, truthfully, this shelter has been designed to rescue women and girls, and we recognize that the people that are experiencing the highest degree of violence when we talk about GBV are women, and that is why the response and actions that are happening are actually geared at rescuing women and empowering women. And that is the real, and this is something that I have had across, that there are actually boys who are experiencing GBV and there are men who are experiencing GBV. I believe there are actors who can take this up, because it's also an opportunity to be able to support the men and the boy child too.
Francis.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. I will go straight.
Francis. Okay.
I will go straight to Mr. Wanyaka. Wanyaka said men are more tortured by women and women are more empowered. True, but then the truth is, though women are more empowered, we are saying, no, boys, men, wake up, let's cry out. Let's get some norms out. This is what I'm saying, boys don't cry. We all have the same flesh and we cry. We should cry out.
Express yourself if you are.
When your heart comes, open up, go to a facility, go to police and tell police. Police has changed. It's no longer that police that laughs at you when you've reported the case.
Before I come to Lucy, but Christian, people are saying, where is the dormitory for the boy child?
Yeah.
We do not have one.
So they can die in silence somewhere there?
No, they don't have to die in silence. They don't have to die in silence because the police will be able to support, and also the medical personnel, because boys are experiencing sexual violence, physical violence too, and psychological violence, and this can be well supported with these other actors.
Lucy, can you go through those issues in a minute, if you can?
Thank you so much, our host. Let me go to my brother from Owino, the one who asked on the procedure of reporting at the police. Let me begin by saying that police station is supposed to be 24 hours open. And at whatever time, when there is any problem you are facing, please go to police and report. You can either go by yourself and report on behalf of somebody, or even the LC can come and report at the police station. So anybody can come and report, and the station is open 24 hours. On the issue of police Form 3 is supposed to be 110% free. It is not supposed to be paid for.
Okay. Looks like somebody was judging them somewhere. On top of surviving rape and defilement, and you have to look for some money to buy it. But
and then 1 minute. On the issue of violence, all the men, if you are being tortured, please come and report. If you are not being assisted by the OC, move to the OC station. If you are not getting assistance, move to the DPC. If you fail at the division, please go to the region and see whether you will be assisted or not. But I know you would be assisted. We are fighting violence, and we need a violence-free society, not only on women, but on both men and women.
Thank you,
come
Lucy.
And report.
Thank you, Lucy. And so, Kristen, as we conclude, we expect you to tell us the contacts and where people can find you in Boise, if you can. That would be very helpful.
Thank you so much. These are our contacts, and you are welcome to call us where you have identified a person at risk in your community. 0702 42 990, and MTN is 0783 46 7582.
All right. I want to thank you so much, Dr. Raj Christian, Legal Officer, Boise GBV Shelter. I want to thank you, Otukei Francis, Councillor, Komamboga Health Center 3. I want to thank you, SP Auma Lucy, Regional Gender Officer, Kampala Metropolitan Police. And you have called in. I also want to thank you. You, the listener, I want to thank you for the privilege of your company. Good night and God bless you, Uganda.